Chairman, you are now in the hearing room.
Okay, very good. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Pinal County Board of Supervisors meeting of August 16th, special session meeting. This meeting is called to order. We have a number of supervisors that are telephonically participating. Natasha, do you want to go through that real quick?
Yes, Chairman. So on the phone line, we have, and we'll just do roll call. Chairman Miller.
Okay.
Chairman Miller.
Here.
Vice Chairman Goodman.
Here.
Vice Chairman Goodman. Vice Chairman Goodman is absent. Supervisor Surdy.
Here.
Supervisor McClure.
Here.
And in person, we have Supervisor Kavanaugh.
Okay. Did he indicate he was here?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Thank you. We have one item of business. Discussion, approval, and disapproval of the fiscal year 2021, 2022 tax levy and rate for all of the governmental entities of Pinal County. So I see here Angie Woods has a presentation.
Good morning, Chairman Miller, members of the board. Thank you for holding a special meeting this morning. Circumstances beyond my office's control led us to not be able to meet deadlines for last week's meeting. Therefore, we needed a meeting this morning to be in compliance with state statute in regards to ARS 42-17151 and 42-17254. So thank you. I want to point out that this morning there is a change to the levy and rate sheet. It was submitted to the clerk of the board's office this morning. The change is in regard to desegregation for Maricopa Unified School District. I do have Pat Beckwith here from the treasurer's office to explain the changes if you so choose.
Does anybody need that explanation?
Mr. Chairman, I would like that explanation.
Okay. Ms. Beckwith?
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Pat Beckwith from the Treasurer's Office. Basically what this is back in 2018, there was House Bill 2664, which ruled that the desegregation, which is charged in Maricopa Community or the Unified School District, could not be included into the state aid calculations as a primary tax, which then would reduce the amount of taxes paid by the taxpayer and would be subsidized by the school. I mean, the state, excuse me. So that happened, and the rates were adjusted in 2018. Tucson Unified, which is the biggest player involved in this, appealed, and the lower courts agreed that it did not qualify as a secondary tax, and as such, they could not include it in, and then we continued to include it as eligible for additional state aid reduction. That has remained for the last couple of years, and then Friday we were notified that the Arizona Court of Appeals has overruled that lower court decision and stated that the definition of secondary taxes has been redefined and that desegregation should not be included in the calculation for additional state aid. So basically, because we had been doing it before to include it in with the primary, it was listed on the rate sheet as a primary tax. They have modified it today to show it as a secondary tax. What this will amount to is for approximately every $100,000 valuation for Maricopa schools, the taxpayer will see an additional $35 in taxes.
Very good.
Are there any other questions?
Any other questions? Hearing none. The board's pleasure.
Chairman Miller, this is Angie Woods from the Budget Office.
Yes.
I do have a short presentation if you'd like for me to move through that presentation.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Sure. Go ahead.
Thank you. So the first slide of my presentation is our strategic priority slide in regards to financial strength. In the draft language from our recent strategic planning session, we have a goal, maintain a long-term positive financial position by balancing revenues and expenditures for operations, debt management, and capital investments. One of those objectives in the draft language is to lower the property tax rate. We've had in the past couple of strategic plans objectives that are similar to this, so I felt it was necessary to keep our mind focused on that during this presentation. The next slide here is in that mindset of strategic priorities. We are comparing ourselves to what was going on in fiscal year 10-11, and that is because in 10-11 was the first year that we began to focus on our property tax rate. So you'll see here that in 10-11 our property tax rate was $3.9999, and the levy was $102,487,281. Our population was 376,369. Today, we've lowered our property tax rate to $3.69. Our levy is about 3% higher than it was in 10-11, and our population has grown about 24% since then. The population numbers that I'm showing here are provisional estimates from the Arizona Office of Economic Opportunity, and this estimate for 467,932 for fiscal year 21-22 was their estimate as of 7/1 of 2020. And it probably doesn't match the census numbers that have yet to be finalized. Any questions there? Great.
Continue.
Okay. Our next slide is our property tax dollar. In 10-11, Pinal County's share of the property tax dollar, not primary, but the property tax dollar was 31%. Today, that percentage is only 24%. So you can see by focusing on the property tax rate, we have reduced the percentage in which comes to the county. I can note that in 10-11, that the cities and towns were 6% of the dollar. School districts were 39% of the dollar. Central Arizona College was 12% of the dollar. And other special districts were 12% of the dollar. So slight changes there all the way around. Moving on to the next slide. This data comes from the Arizona Department of Revenue final abstract for all counties. In this chart, you can see that Pinal County has the highest combined rate. That is both the primary and secondary rate in comparison to the other counties. Any questions there?
Any questions?
Okay, moving right on.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Jeff McClure. Just a question. Weren't we the fourth highest a year ago or 2 years ago? Now we've moved to the highest.
Chairman,
And
Supervisor Surtee, is that correct?
McClure.
Oh.
McClure.
I apologize, Supervisor McClure. In a few slides, I will show the rates that the Board of Supervisor that they are in control of, and at that point, yes, that it will be the fourth highest. Or yes, but when we're looking at all of the jurisdictions and the primary and secondary rates, last year and this year, we have been the very highest in the entire county. So we have not changed.
Okay, this is everybody's rate, all the schools, all the special districts, everybody combined, and that's what this slide shows?
That is correct.
Okay, I'm good. Then I'm good. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Moving to the next slide. The primary net assessed value per capita. So this is of this year's valuations. We are the second to the lowest. This is one of the reasons why our rate is so high. It drives our rate higher. It takes more rate to receive a higher levy. Our next slide is a new slide for this presentation. It's not one that we have shared in the past. It's something new that we are doing a comparison on. What we've done is we've taken the total net assessed valuation and divided it by county, by each class type of the legal class of the property. So class 1, if you look at our chart here, Pinal County is 23% class 1, 8% class 2, 68% class 3, and then all of the other classes I kind of grouped together because it's such a, it's only 1% for all of those. So, but class 1 is really our industrial and our commercial type properties. Class 2 is our vacant and agricultural generally type properties. And class 3 and 4 are primarily residential properties. So you can see in comparison to the other counties kind of what the makeup for Pinal County is versus those other counties. I do have John Ellenwood here from the assessor's office to explain the difference between those classes and if you have any questions there.
Any questions of John? Hearing none, let's move along. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So this slide, as Supervisor McClure pointed out, if we're combining all of the rates for the counties that are controlled by the Board of Supervisors in comparison to other counties, we are the fourth highest. In this chart, you can see the percentage change in the primary rate from the previous year in all the counties, and many of them are reducing. In the next slide, we'll kind of dig into that a little bit deeper because I'll be showing what counties are taxing, say, at their T&T rate versus their max rate, and so kind of drives that percentage change.
Everybody good?
Okay.
All good.
Good. So our next slide is a history of the primary property tax rate, and you can see Pinal County's, and this is sorted in a way that is the lowest percent of the max. So we are second lowest in taxing to the max of the percentage. Only Greenlee is taxing slightly less as a percentage of the max than us. But the other counties, as I was talking about the change in their primary rates, if you look at that percentage of TNT, all of those that say 100, and if on the prior slide reduced, it was because they are taxing their TNT rate, but because of the change in valuation, made that change. That makes sense. Any questions there? The only other thing that I wanted to add here is that Coconino County now is the only county in the state that is taxing at 100% of their max levy. So the adopted primary levy per capita. So this is the amount of we are taxing per capita. And in this slide, you see we're right about the middle, not quite the middle, but right about the middle. And we're taxing about $17 higher than the average. This is a significant improvement since 2010, 2011. If there's no questions, I'll move to the next slide.
Move on. Okay.
So in 10-11, the Pinal County had the second highest primary property tax levy burden as a percentage of personal income. So what that really means is can our taxpayers afford the amount of money that we are instilling upon them? And at that time, it was 1.16%, which was the second highest. So since then, as we focused on lowering the tax rate, we are now 10th highest, so 10th highest in the state at 0.71%. And I wanted to remind you that our population has increased by 24%. Our primary levy has only increased by 3%. Aggregate income has increased by 68% in our county. That is phenomenal. So that's kind of what I wanted to point out here. So this last slide is just kind of a summary and wrap up bullet points that were the charts that I showed previously. I don't want to read each one of these over again, but if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
This is Supervisor Surdy. I do have a question. I don't know when is the right time to insert it, but if Leo, Himanshu, or yourself could be prepping an answer, I would like to know what the effect of a no vote would be on this whole process. Where down the line, what's the effects here or here or here? So I want that question on the board. Just answer when it's appropriate.
Supervisor Miller, or Chairman Miller, Supervisor Surdy, I'd like to defer to our Deputy County Attorney, Chris Keller, on that question.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Surdy, now is an appropriate time as ever to go ahead and respond to that question. The action item does not require unanimous consent, so a no vote is allowed. It still needs to pass by a majority. It is mandatory per the statute that the county shall fix and levy the rates. It has in the past been questioned whether or not the county is approving those rates as established by the other jurisdictions. And that is more of a ministerial task that you have as the board to get those on the tax roll so that the treasurer can go ahead and issue those tax bills based on what those districts or subdivisions have already gone ahead and approved in their bodies. So that part makes it ministerial except for the county's portion. I hope that answers your question.
So if it's a unanimous no vote, is there automatic kick-ins, or do we just stay where we were? Does it revert back?
Supervisor Surdy, Chairman, I believe it stays, the tax rate stays where it was at the previous year. Without checking it, but Angie is shaking her head, and we're fairly comfortable it stays where it's at because you did not take an action to go ahead and revise it.
Okay, that better explains my question then.
County Attorney, Mr. Keller, this is Chairman Miller.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So, but we as the Board of Supervisors have already voted and set our rate in a previous meeting. If we were to vote no on this, how does that, because we've already established what our rate is going to be at the county on our property tax.
Mr. Chairman, that is not correct. You have established the tentative property tax rate.
Okay.
This is establishing the rate.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. Okay, so the first time we voted on this was tentative. Okay. But we did vote to lower it.
Chairman Miller?
Yeah.
If I might,
Yes.
if I might try to add some clarity. The last vote that you had, you were adopting a budget. You were not adopting a tax rate. So we adopted a budget that included our tax rate at $3.69. This item here would adopt that actual tax rate and the levy associated to it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Oh, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, if I could add a little bit of color, this is Leo.
Yes, please do.
So we've gone through public hearings and in accordance with statute on the tax rates. So between the budget adoption and this point, so the third Monday in August is the statutory deadline for the county to adopt its tax levies and rates, and for that, for which the county board is the board, meaning our board, flood control district, library district, we would be able to lower, if the board so choose, the tax rate, but we would not be able to increase the tax rate from which we had given public notice in truth and taxation hearings upon. Thank you.
Okay. So, everybody there? Did I lose?
No,
contact?
I'm here.
We're still here, Chairman.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. Any other questions or comments at this point? So what's the board's pleasure at this time?
This is Supervisor Chairman. This is Jeff McClure. Let's see. I move that we adopt the Pinal County property tax rate and levy as presented.
Second, Supervisor Surdy.
I have a motion and a second. This requires
Chair.
a roll call vote.
Chairman,
So, yes.
Chairman, if we could just clarify the actual motion, maybe if we can state as presented with the changes to page 4.
Oh yes, I'm sorry. Yes, I move that we adopt the tax rate and levy to include the changes made on page 4 of the data sheet.
Okay.
That work?
Are you satisfied with that?
Yes, Chairman.
Okay.
Madam Clerk,
second.
excuse me, Mr. Chairman, Madam Clerk, just because there is some times that it does break up a little bit, could you restate that so that everyone is clear that they have that?
So the motion on the floor that is made by Supervisor McClure is going to be to approve as presented with the changes as presented on page 4.
That's correct.
Okay. And just Supervisor
So
Sturdy, you're good with that?
I'll second again, yes.
Thank you. Okay. This requires a roll call vote.
Okay.
Clerk?
Okay, just to confirm, the motion was made by Supervisor McClure, and it was seconded by Supervisor Surtee. Supervisor Kavanaugh?
Aye.
Supervisor McClure?
Aye.
Supervisor Surtee?
Aye.
Chairman Miller?
Aye.
And I know that we announced that Vice Chairman Goodman was not on the line, but I would like to announce it just to confirm that he did not join. Vice Chairman Goodman? Okay, that motion passes unanimous with the 4 board members present.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. And we'll see you all later. Meeting adjourned.